Good morning and greetings wherever you're watching us from. This is Open Forum with Citizen MKO on Memories 96.5 FM Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, and the program is Open Forum with Citizen MKO. It's about people, issues, ideas, and solutions. And as we say, that wherever this flag is flown, we take care of our own. I am Citizen Matthew Kofi O'Connor, a citizen with extraordinary drive of patriotism. I am a productive advocate, a reformer, and president and founder of Open Forum, the sponsors of this very program. As you know what we do, we have very critical issues always on the front burner. And what we do is to try to educate the public, help our leaders with insightful analysis of issues, and with our very well considered opinion on how to have certain challenges resolved. And then for the oppressed, they have a voice here. So if somebody says, I don't have anybody, I don't have a voice, I don't have a surname, Open Forum is your surname. We'll be here to speak for you. We've helped some communities to be heard, and we are trusting God that some things will be done to correct such issues. We've helped certain individuals. Some response did not come on time and we lost them, but that has not made us to give up. Rather, it fires us more, because this program is done to be a voice to the voiceless and just accelerate us for the oppressed. On today's menu, we have our latest series, which is, please bring it down, which is a special series on the Stop Creek Forest Reserve crisis. And specifically, this is the third edition, and like we have promised, we are going to focus on this because it is the greatest issue bedeviling Akwa Ibom State, and if the needful is not done, it may end up as one of the lowest points in our history as a people, God forbid, because there's sufficient knowledge, sufficient information to help our leaders and also our citizens to guide their actions. Nobody's misaction, misinformation, misjudgment should lead to something we will live to regret, that we wasn't a 111-year-old issue during our time. So today, we are going to look at the Stop Creek Forest Reserve crisis. Specifically, we're going to look at the position of conservationists, and 70 civil society organizations have come under what they call Safe Stop Creek campaign. And they did a world press conference. So we're going to look at that, the issues arising from there, and the dangers associated with de-reserving the Stop Creek without due process. Yes, that's what we are looking at today. And we'll have a guest that will join us. I'll introduce the guest. Well, let me introduce him. So the studio is going to join us virtually. And the person to speak on that when it's time to bring him on is going to be via video call. Those watching us online on Open Forum. No, not Open Forum now. The platform is now Citizen MKO on Facebook, the page. You can also have us on Memories 96.5 FM on Facebook and Memories TV on YouTube. We have different platforms that we are streaming live right now. So we are going to have join us from where he is, Comrade Tija Bolton Akpan. He's the Director Policy Alert, and he's a National Coordinator, Safe Stops Creek Campaign. He is our guest today. And because of the load of issues we have, we couldn't bring on some other guests that we had earlier scheduled. We need to have some time with him and then also address other issues. One of which is our 67th edition. For 67 weeks, we've been running what we call Stop Taking an Agenda Setting for Akwa Ibom Without Oil. That is Open Forum Gift to Akwa Ibom State. Intentionally, today, we are looking at the newly introduced Akwa Ibom State Treasury Single Account for internally generated revenue. And we call it a positive revolutionary policy by the Moino-led administration. We'll just give you a little insight about that for your knowledge, because we don't just suggest ideas. When government does well, we just come out to say, this is marvelous, this is good enough. And whatever gray area where experts will say this can be addressed, we also put that forward. 67th edition of Stock Taking, we're looking at TSA account. And on the state of the state, something very interesting, albeit demoralizing to some, and a thing of joy to others, happened. For the first time in the history, maybe of Nigeria, we had somebody that was nominated by the president. The name was sent to National Assembly, but another name was mentioned on the floor of National Assembly without the previous name being withdrawn, and the person was cleared. And on the swearing-in day, we now saw, we get the details, the swearing-in of the person that was cleared by the Senate, but the name of the original nominee remains in all publications of the government. Talking about the newly constituted Federal Character Commission Board. We are going to look at the X-ray of the procedural validity of presidential nomination, Senate screening, and mysterious final list of appointees. The unprecedented story of Obon Wandoraibo, President Bola Tinubu's nominee, and Mrs. Eunice Thomas, the Senate screened and cleared Akwa Ibom State person. We'll just give us snippet on that, because something that happened, a number of people are not even aware, but we're going to let you into it, and then we'll see what we can do as a forum to help make that situation, whatever is considered as a mix-up or the mess there, to be corrected. Thank God it's happening here in the state. Then on social education and enlightenment, we'll look at very briefly on the limit of divine mandate and the difference between the office and the occupier. I hope we'll be able to do that. And having said that, we'll take our thought for food. Today, it is thoughts, for foods for thoughts and thoughts for food. We have two in one. And the first one says, history teaches us that nations fall not only by bad leadership, but reckless followership. Silence in the face of cultural abuse is complicity. Godwin Ntowode. You can add Prince, Dr. Godwin Ntowode. I take that again. History teaches us that nations fall not only by bad leadership, but reckless followership. Silence in the face of cultural abuse is complicity. And I dare add, silence in the face of injustice is complicity. Prince Godwin Ntowode. And then the second is by an anonymous. And it says, if your mandate is divine, then your conduct must meet the highest moral scrutiny. If your office is sacred, then your conduct must be exemplary. If it is not, then it is not sacred. It is just power. Anonymous. I take that again. Very important, very instructive. If your mandate is divine, then your conduct must meet the highest moral scrutiny. If your office is sacred, then your conduct must be exemplary. If not, then it is not sacred. It is just power. Normally we hear a lot of persons say you have to respect the office. You don't respect the office. And there's a difference between the office and the person. You can't occupy an office and want to hide behind there to do evil. You have lost the moral rights, spiritually and physically. So office does not provide a coverage for anybody to sit behind and do injustice. I wish we'll have time for the sexual education aspect. If we don't, I wouldn't mind bringing it back next week, because definitely you will learn, not like our brother, Ben Dapman would say, we will learn the hard way. Having said that, last week we hosted a son to one of the persons that was murdered on January 31st, 2010, when gunmen attacked Bible Church in Wok, when the rabbi was kidnapped. Godwin Samuel. I've been searching for somebody from that family for years. Eventually we landed with him. The only graduate. He was in church. He was in the choir. And he didn't know the mother was shot straight, and she gave up right there. And the brother had his eyes completely damaged, and he had to carry them. And one thing led to another. The money government gave to them, 2.5 million, was used for burial. And that family has never been the same again, because the promises made has never been fulfilled. We are on that matter, like other matters. We needed him so badly. Now that we have him, we are going to do the needful along with other cases that we are carrying, and we want to believe God that the government will respond. I do not want to spend too much time on what we did last week, but recall that on our 66th edition, we talked about the two investors that have indicated interest in developing Bondip Port. We have Interaf. State government has signed an MOU already. We don't have the terms. The terms of the MOU is not in public. And we also have the one that we brought here on Open Forum, Professor Hilarian, who is the chairman of the consortium that are ready to invest as much as 8 billion. We're going to take that much to develop Bondip Port. And as we speak, they are working on the brief, and very soon you will hear the updates. So there is hope, because the Bondip Port is a tax that must be done. I want to leave it there so that we can see what we can take for this week's edition. Midway in the program, we're going to invite Comrade Tija Bolton to join us. I'm sure he's monitoring us where he is. Tija Bolton, if you are there, stay put. Once we are through with this initial arrangement, we are going to bring you on. And I want to start from just giving us updates about our son in the United Arab Emirates. We won't stop talking about him until something is done. We pray no evil befalls that family of 6 with a 7-month-old baby. They have been sleeping outside once in a while, and they are squatting right now, hoping for an intervention from the Kwame State government. We've done a letter already to the governor after all efforts to work with the SSA on diaspora matters failed, and other contact we've made have not yielded, so we have to fall back to our father, His Excellency, Pastor Dr. Mobasieno. We personally submitted a letter of appeal, and we've requested that that background of the person can be fact-checked. We give him the phone number, the address, everything, so that the government can intervene to bring back our sons and our daughters and our babies to Akwa Ibom State. They are not criminals, well-respected oil workers who, because of visa restriction, work permit, and residence visa restriction, he could not because of Nigeria UAE issues. Unfortunately, the president was there. I never heard anything mentioned about that. It's so embarrassing, so disturbing, but we must defend our own. So please, handlers of His Excellency, I'm sure you are hearing us, mention to His Excellency, please, the person calling my line should not. We will need to have that family saved and brought back. And I want to go straight to the issue of the Federal Character Commission. Federal Character Commission. And I want to start that by playing an audio or a video. But let me give a background. Sometime in August, the presidency made a press release where names of nominees were forwarded to the Senate for approval, because it is the responsibility of the Senate to nominate, and the responsibility of, the president to nominate, and then the responsibility of the Senate to screen and approve. And names were forwarded. Before the names were forwarded, there was a slight change because the former chairman was reappointed, and on the same day, a new list came out. and that list contained the names of nominees. And in Akwa Ibom State, the nominee was Obaman Dora Ebong, who will have been doing her second term. I want to play the video where the Senate President read the list on the floor of the House, which incidentally, the name of Dora Ebong was replaced with the name of Mrs. Eunice Thomas. That was not what was in the president's statement. So, for record purposes, let's watch it.
From Osun State, as chairman, Honorable Obina Oriaku, Abia State as commissioner, Mrs. Bema Madai Adamawa as commissioner, Mrs. Eunice Thomas, Akwa Ibom State as commissioner, Honorable Noli Nkechi Gloria, PhD, Anambra State as commissioner, Babangida Adamu Buana of Bauchi as commissioner.
Okay, that was a short clip, just about 2 minutes 51 seconds, when the Senate President, distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, read on the floor of the Senate the names of nominees for the Federal Character Commission. Incidentally, the publication by the Special Advisor to the President's Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, dated August 11, which was what is believed to have been forwarded because there was no other press statement to undo what was done on the 11th of August. The name of Mrs. Dora Ebong for Akwa Ibom State was listed. And when on the 22nd there was the swearing in, all the newspapers, Punch, Nation, Tribune, and other newspapers that published the news of that swearing in the presidency, I have the picture here, the presidency, it has the name of, we're focusing on Dora Ebong now, the name of Dora Ebong, all newspapers after the swearing in. And we try to look for the picture of our nominee, what we incidentally have, if they were sitting in alphabetical order. For those watching us online, I need to just fold this. Yes. We are told that for those watching online, this is a picture of the swearing in from Abia in alphabetical order. If it's Abia, we have Adamawa. The next should be Akwa Ibom. We are told that it was vacant. I don't know how far that is true. So within the chambers, we are looking for the picture. We've not seen it yet. But after the swearing in the group picture outside, for those watching us online, we have, in the middle there with the black suit, those watching us online, Mrs. Eunice Thomas was there, representing Akwa Ibom State. We don't want to dwell too much on other details. For those who may not be too aware, we have, this is the picture of the chairperson up there, the chairperson of Federal Character Commission. She's from Osun State. And then the next picture here is, this is Dora Ebong. She will have done her second term if it has sailed through as planned by the president. So the issue why we are bringing this is that we try to reach out to Dora Ebong. Maybe someday, if she will oblige, she may come and speak to us or what has happened. But we are informed that she's getting congratulatory messages because all the newspapers in the country carried her name. So if truly the Senate, the president did not withdraw her nomination, what happened at the Senate? Was there a mix-up? And how can that be corrected? Because for us, it's an embarrassment that somebody could have her name as a nominee and without withdrawal, like was done in the case of the former chairman. Now you now have a new person completely. And in the state we talk about Akwa Ibom United, we want to appeal as open forum. We are going to forward letters to the appropriate authorities because we defend the voiceless, we defend the ones with voice by giving them the right ideas that something should be done. It will be an embarrassment, it will be a thing that posterity may not be able to be kind with us if we saw such development and keep quiet. It will have happened to you. Dora Ibom was sent as the nominee, and by law, the Senate does not do nomination. It does clearance. You either reject or approve the appointment by Mr. President, then ask for replacement if need be. But in the case of Dora Ibom, we have not seen any such publication. And for those who will take time to Google, you will see in all the newspapers, I have some printouts here. I've read the Punch, the Nation, the Tribune, and others. Dora Ibom's name is still in the list in the presidency, and very much so, I believe, the office of the SSG that coordinates this thing. So what was the disconnect? After the screening, didn't the Senate forward the name of the screen people to the president? So if it was forwarded, was it the name of Dora Ibom that it had to be repeated on the day of the swearing in? That is our take, because we need to address that. Dora Ibom, thank God she's alive. One day maybe she will speak for herself, but because we are about people, issues like this are solution, we must defend our own. We defend anybody, don't have to even reach out to us when we see the truth. We do just that. So that is that about the issue of the stalled reappointment of Dora Ibom. Stalled in the sense that so far somebody is sitting there, but then it has to be normalized. The presidency must needs to, not must, they need to, we're appealing, publish the list of lists to say, oh, there was a mix-up somewhere. Otherwise, it will be an indictment on the entire system. And that is something that we do not want to happen. So we will try to follow up. We will do what we normally do, reach out with letters to authorities to see what they can do about addressing that very case. It is time-bound for us to see what we can do. We have to push certain things to next week. Recall that Open Forum, we try to make it 1 hour like no other. You know what it means to be on radio for 1 hour. So we try to capture a lot of things. But there is something that I must say now before we go into inviting our guests, because it's a very important conversation. It's not always easy to have our brother, Comrade Tija Bolton, he could be here, there, maybe next time he will be outside the country, but this very matter, we must handle it very tactically. Before I will invite him, we are going to make a press release within the week, still on the Stock Creek. We've done one or two already, but there is something that bothers us, and we call it here the dangers of misguided articles and press releases on Stops Creek Ombriglio. We call it Ombriglio. Yes. And what do I mean? A number of people have taken upon themselves to write articles. Some of these articles are born out of their either personal grievance or personal interest or ignorance or kind of propaganda, or trying to show that, yes, they can contribute to very serious discourse. Whereas some people that are, like people who say, certified errats, they don't go there. There are certain topics that you can't go near. And if you go near it, you must be armed. But on the Stops Creek, we personally monitored certain write-ups, including even press releases from people in government, and that bothers us. We can't address everything here, but I want to acknowledge that we've seen a rejoinder by the political advisor to the governor, Prince Godwin Togude, Doctor, on the defamation and cultural desecration and unwarranted invocation against Governor of Akwa Ibom State by Princess Godson Udoito. And we want to say, yes, the political advisor has right to air his views, but we shall address certain issues raised there, because we cannot leave the main issue to dwell on the side attractions. Very technical things. We will address it in our press statement, very brief. We also have seen write-ups by Emmanuel Nicholas, abolishment of native law, land ownership, and how Donsak amended the Land Act to threaten Governor Umoino by Emmanuel Nicholas, and went political to try to bring in 2027 general elections. We will address it. We've seen something from Mr. Kedugu Government Council, which have called for calm. We've also seen Kwandi Obogodo issues on statutory recommendation of Kwai State government. We have seen Ukumete Unity Association, and then we did our own. We've seen APU press release. We've seen Ultimatum. We share the same platform on Radar. He made a statement that I couldn't react to, and I'm still troubled to today, and followed up with an article thereafter. He wrote on the Radar platform on the 15th that Samuel Donsak and Danabia should also be taken and questioned. They are guilty of incitement and disturbance of public peace. I'm quoting exactly what he wrote. After Godson Udoito was arrested, he directly pronounced guilt on Udonsak. Udonsak actually responded in a way, but to have a citizen direct for the arrest of a fellow citizen, despite the fact that police had already given invitation, and pronouncing them guilty, and then following up with a press an article which makes EPU to be a militant group is something we need to address. Just like the press release from the Office of the Attorney General on the real legal status and certain things that have been said there. It is dangerous if people have facts and refuse to speak out. Society will be destroyed for the silence of those that know, not for those who don't, but want to say something. So we'll do our best. We're not sponsored. It's very challenging with multitasking, but definitely we'll just keep doing our best. If you cannot run, we will walk. If you can't walk, we will crawl. And crawling is what we are doing. Imagine if we are able to walk. We will do much more. So expect our press statement. We cannot attack people. Leave issues to attack people. More so when people are not even armed with information, or when people want to simplify any complex matter. They come with a very simplistic answer. It doesn't happen that way. We will not allow it. We will just make our points of view known. Having said that, I want to call our brother, who is, I don't know which state, maybe Federal Capital Territory, or wherever he is now, Tija Bolton, to join us on the program so that we can hear what his organization has to say about the Stop Creep when it has to do with the policy that it is a reserve and how our reserves handle. It's ringing. I'm sure he's going to join us soon. Sorry. Okay. Good morning, my brother, Comrade Tija Bolton.
Hi, good morning.
So good to have you. Thank you so much. Where am I speaking with you from? Abuja or Lagos or Dubai?
No, from the Canaan city of Calabar.
Really? You are back to Canaan land. That is great. I'm trying to, yes. So, you have an organization now that you call Save Stop Creek Campaign. Am I right?
That's correct.
So, tell us a bit about what has given rise to you leading this campaign.
All right. First, you know that my primary designation is Director of Policy Alert.
Yes.
Which is an organization that's focused on ecological and economic justice, especially in the Niger Delta region.
Yes.
And we have been doing a lot of work in terms of both energy transition effort and environmental conservation work across the Niger Delta. Also come across a serious concern which had to do with one of the last remaining mangrove systems within the Niger Delta. That is the Stock Creek
Forest Reserve. Yes.
So this forest reserve was designated as such as far back as 1930 by the colonial government. And the whole idea of designating an area as a forest reserve comes from the clear recognition of the environmental needs of not just the present generation, but also future generations. In fact, generations yet unborn.
Yeah.
So, for the colonial government to have designated that area as a reserve is not something to be taken lightly, even within the context of current industrial and infrastructural development efforts. So we noticed, in fact, one of the first acts of aggression against the sanctity of this reserve area was when the superhighway was constructed, or rather, an effort to construct a superhighway across it happened some years ago. After that, we also had the Boa refinery. So the refinery was approved by the federal government. The Akwa state government gave its consent for actions to be taken within the precincts of that forest reserve.
Yes. Hello. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
These developmental actions, quote and unquote, by government and private sector entities have amounted to stressors on the ecosystem, on the vibrancy and integrity of that ecosystem. And as such, as people who have taken it upon ourselves to protect the environment for future generations, we thought it was important to raise our voice. Government got a very important duty to society by ensuring that developments happen. However, it's important for government to weigh, the different sides of the coin, in terms of how development actually impact, different dimensions. Yeah. There is the social dimension, there is the economic dimension, there is also the ecological dimension. So when all sides of the prism are not considered in development effort, then it's possible to be covered for development to become counterproductive.
Okay, before you go on, hello, comrade. Before you go on, you listed the acts of aggression, the superhighway, which is a Akwa version, talking about the one Udom Emmanuel started in 2017, and then the Boa, Tolkan, and thereabout. But I want to add the latest one so that I'll ask you another question. The coastal highway, which you have noted, one of your concerns that the coastal highway can be rerouted, but environmental impact will be irreversible. You are aware that so far, even the governor has said it, that the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway is to pass through the Stops Creek. And I read that the EIA was conducted before routing it through there, but it's to happen. I want you to give us, you are not a lawyer, but you are very well informed. Is there a procedure to de-reserve any area, any part of a reserve before it can be used for any project, like it was done in the case of Mobile? Are you aware if there was a de-reservation to accommodate any of these other projects, Boa, the Superhighway, and the Coastal Highway? Are you aware if there was a de-reservation in accordance with the law?
Yes. As far as I know, and as at the moment we're speaking, no such reservation is within the public domain. No such notice of de-reservation is within the public domain. What is happening is, like you're right that the laws, the reservation laws of Akwa Ibom require that such a de-gazettement, or rather a de-reservation of an area like that should be pursued before any infrastructure or industrial project happens within it. It has not happened further. However, the body language and even the public statement of government at the highest level in Akwa Ibom presupposes that there is an intention to the coalition is that it is not in the best interest of development, whether for current or for future generations, to pursue the reservation. In any case, for you to pursue the reservation, it's important for that process to be, for the gazettement to be process-led. So there's going to be free, prior, and informed consent. There's going to be meaningful public participation, so that different sectors of the society, especially the affected community, are part of the conversation. And that conversation needs to be thorough, far-reaching. What we are seeing is that there is a very tight timeline for the delivery of the Coastal Highway project that will not provide a sufficient window for such, deep and extensive public participation that will lead to the decision to de-reserve that area. You don't just wake up overnight and say, I want to de-reserve. No. Government holds resources, whether they are financial resources, whether they are ecological resources like the forest reserve in question. These resources are held in trust, not just for the current generation, but also for generation yet unborn.
Okay.
So if you want to dispose of such resources, you need to consult the people. You need to ask questions. You need to interrogate perspectives and sensitivities widely, so that you accommodate those sensitivities in that decision making.
Okay.
That clearly hasn't happened.
Yes.
That clearly cannot happen within the window of these infrastructural, efforts of the Lagos Calabar.
Thank you. Thank you for that very insight. The insight you have given is adding more pressure on the conversation. What I mean is that already we are not talking about the communal issues, because even the press release by government says that land is almost a no man's land. It belongs to the federal government, to the state government, which we're not going there. But looking at what you've said, that the time frame, the AIA was not done, and we are hearing that it's going to be done in January, and you've said it does not give the proper time frame. Your organization has also recommended that the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway be rerouted. I want to find out from you, what would be your recommendation besides I have a copy of your press statement here, and you are very clear on certain issues, but being live here and being watched all over the world on our various platforms, we're going to even expand this conversation further. What would be your recommendation? Go to the community aspect-based crisis. Go to the law, how a reserve can be used, whatever portion. Government has not honored it. What would be your recommendation to the government, so that we don't keep running on the wrong route and rely on
You have to respect the office. You have to respect the person. Whatever government says is right. You are take.
Right. So government has power, no doubt about that. And we stated it clearly in our statement that the powers, to the administrative control of the top forest reserve lies within the ambit of the Bible state government. There is no negation of that clearly documented power that the Bible state government has. However, powers of government are not held so that they can be discharged arbitrarily. We have power, like I mentioned earlier, even power in trust to be dispensed on behalf of the people. And if that power is exercised in a manner that is detrimental to the social or ecological aspirations of the people, then that power has clearly been misused. Now, what our coalition is doing is that the federal government clearly has alternative. The Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1992 requires that there should be an EIO, in fact, an ESIA, that is Environmental and Social Impact Assessment of any sort of projects before it is done, right?
Yes.
Now, we have had EIAs for the other part, the Section 1 and 2 of the Coastal Highway, right? So
yes.
Why are we not having an EIA for this section? We hear that the EIA just started a few weeks ago. So why don't you wait for the EIA to be completed before you undertake, this project? That's one of the big questions on the table. So the other part of the question which you broached on has to do with the social aspirations of the people.
Yes.
You cannot use power in a manner that impacts negatively on communities, especially individual communities, and expect that there will not be fallouts.
That's right.
So, one of the points we're making in our statement is that the Akwa state government owes it to the indigenous communities that are historically associated with that reserve to engage with them thoroughly. There has been no such thorough engagement. In 2017, we saw that the project was done, there was no engagement. When refinery came, the engagement was shallow at all. And then right now we are having the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, there is also zero engagement. So what we are saying is that absent such participatory decision making, such thorough engagement with the community, so that the rights of these people, the safety of these communities are taken into cognizance in decision making, then we're actually running the risk of doing such a project against the interests of this community.
That's right.
And development goes beyond. Development is not just about physical infrastructure. It's also about environmental sustainability. It's about climate resilience and justice. It's about social stability. The fragility of these communities has not really been taken into consideration in most of the comments we're hearing
yes.
from government. And that is the bigger issue on the table right now. But beyond even the ecological resilience of that ecosystem, we are also looking at a situation where 10, 20, 50 years, even 100 years down the line, we're going to have huge issues, that border on the social and cultural. And these are the things that make development sustainable. If you don't deal with those dimensions, whatever highway you build, whatever refineries you build, they are all going to be jeopardized with due course.
I want to thank you so very much because you, as a social justice crusader, you have touched on the issue of the community because we in Open Forum, we are very concerned. That's why we have promised to come out with a press statement regarding certain press releases and comments by individuals and even government which are not in tandem with even some sort of even common sense and law. we try to help leaders. We've had a situation where leaders will say, I was misled. We do not want His Excellency to be misled in any way, because we have informed citizens who are also courageous. We run what we call Open Forum, a global community, coalition of the bright and the brave for a better society. So, talking about that community, we will continue this conversation on some other issues about community. Already, we came out on our first edition with the press letters from government, which showed that compensation for land acquired for mobile was actually paid to community. We also have insight that for the Boa investment, negotiations were being made with community. Then fast forward to 2026, we are hearing that the Stop Creek belongs to the Akwa State government, and it's the no man's land. And we have seen a press release from somebody from Ngo. They are claiming that they own maybe own portion of Stop Creek. Even though used to claim Stop Creek, Eseleked and Eseleked are just one. So this conversation will continue, because we are going to help leaders, and it will be recorded for posterity that people like you and I and others tried to bring possible solutions to the table. Before I'm going to open the phone lines for maybe one or two calls, I want you to reiterate the dangers of not just fragmentation of the Stop Creek Forest Reserve. What would be the real dangers if that area is open to the kind of investment that we are seeing, that may end up taking over 310 square kilometers of reserve, has now been reduced to I don't know what yet. What are the real dangers ahead if the de-reservation and more so reckless de-reservation continues? Yes, sir.
Right. So I would like us to look at it from the perspective of cumulative impacts, right?
Yeah. So,
like you rightly mentioned, there have been previous developmental efforts across the Stop Creek. We had the superhighway initiative, and then the Boa refinery. Now, what we are saying is that beyond the single project impacts of each of these projects, there is also going to be a whole lot of the Stop Creek ecosystem. So what we are proposing is that the federal government actually rewrote the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway away from this forest reserve.
Okay.
The Ministry of Environment should insist on a completed, publicly accessible environmental and social impact assessment, before we can turn around.
Thank you. Let's see if we can just get. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, to get to your point, the Stop Creek Forest Reserve is part of a wider Niger Delta mangrove ecosystem. The Niger Delta mangrove have been designated as on the reserve list of the UNESCO site globally. Now, the Stop Creek Forest Reserve actually configures to this Niger Delta mangrove system. And what we are saying is that any impacts on the Stop Creek is actually going to ripple off on the rest of the broader mangrove ecosystem across the Niger Delta.
Yes.
This will create impacts such as rising sea level, coastal erosion, salination, flooding, and general ecosystem collapse. Loss of species. A lot of species that are found in this area are actually threatened or even endangered species that are in the IUCN.
Awesome. Let's see if we can just have one caller. The number to call is 0803 085 7755, or you call 0809 066 6909. We want to see if we can just have somebody chip in his idea, because this program is about people, it's about issues, ideas, and solutions. I must thank you because, okay, we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, are you there?
Joe, this is calling from you.
Okay, go ahead. You have 30 seconds, please.
I just want to say this. I want to plead with everybody. I know in this program, you invited a lot of people to, they came and talk about how Governor Oriema, they wanted to be the big seaport.
Yes.
Because of name. And they have to petition everywhere.
Yes.
And they now remove that seaport left Akagum State. Now they are battling to build seaport again. This when I need to pass here. We know that going to Lagos through bus is very difficult. Because
Are you talking about seaport or are you talking about Stop Creek?
I'm talking about the freedom. What I'm talking about, they should give it. You're not going to say, it's not a rail line. Rail line cannot show the whole forest of 300 kilometers. Just a pathway. So they should just allow government to at least
Okay, thank you. We get your point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We've gotten your point. The reality is that it is not possible to. Can you just take 20 seconds? Round up your thought in 20 seconds. We're out of time. Yes.
Yes. So I'm saying that, yes, I agree with those who feel that development is important, and yes, development is really important. We are not opposing development. We need to be very clear about this. What we are opposing is the kind of development that will leave the effect on the communities and on the ecosystem.
Yes.
So we are saying that there are globally accepted ways of proceeding with infrastructural development. Those global standards
have not been followed.
Have not really been taken into
Thank you. Because of time, we have to run. We'll try and bring you back again. Thank you so very much, Comrade Tija Bolton Akpan, Executive Director of Policy Alert and the National Coordinator of Safe Stop Street Campaign. Thank you. We invite you once again. Yes, our time has run out, and I want to say that the brand I called, Oron people were not the one that drove the investors away from the Ibom Deep Sea Port. We've addressed this, and someday we'll address this again. So it's misleading to use that, and then there's a protocol. Government cannot do things arbitrarily. There are procedures to be followed. Next week, we are going to continue on this series, and we're going to take on the tax single treasury account of Akwa State government later next week. Please don't fail to support Open Forum with MKO. I'm out of here.